To a conversation. The Member of Parliament for Nandi Hills, the Honourable Bernard Kitur, is with us in studio to talk about, the events of the day, and most importantly, being the launch of the Hustler Fund. Mheshimiwa, karibu sana.
Thank you very much. Good evening, viewers.
Asante. Let's talk about the Hustler Fund. There is what you went around telling the people of Kenya as the President William Ruto sought the votes of Kenyans. The launch today, is it a fulfillment of that promise? Did it fall short of that promise?
It's a confirmation that we have a very serious president who stands by his word. Indeed, when he went round, he had promised that within the shortest time when he will be in leadership, now about 100 days, he had said by 1st of December, indeed, he's been able to beat the timeline. So we have a very serious president. He's been able to deliver that which we know will completely transform the economic model of those that are on the lower cadre of the pyramid.
And today has been a very busy day for you people, that you had to pass the requisite legislation for the Hustler Fund, and then an hour or so later the president is launching the fund.
Yeah, in the government of President William Ruto, everybody must put on their safety belts because there is so much. So today in the morning, we woke up very early in the morning. We went to pass that legislation, the legislation that ring fences the Hustler Fund, and then we had to rush and begin the interviews for those who have the PSS, and we are even continuing. Even I just came from the meeting. We are now doing the report because tomorrow we will be able to present the same to the main floor of the House and pass it off. This is how serious the president is, because he wants the PS in office and that Kenya has to move forward. So this is how serious the whole process is.
Tell us the thought that goes, because you were making the legislation earlier this morning, the thinking that goes into 500 shillings, because I think you've seen the debate on social media of people asking 500 shillings, surely. How does it help me out?
First of all, you will never understand what 500 shillings means when you're a middle class until the day you go to the market and see a mama mboga who has, or those who used to borrow 1,000 shillings in the morning and they go buy their grocery, they buy the bananas, they buy potatoes, and then they sell. And in the evening, they have to pay back with probably 100 shillings. That is about 1,100 shillings that they have to get in the evening. And the following day, the same process begins. When they get this money now from the government that you've had, it is at an interest of 8%. And like as it were in the normal circumstances where it used to be about 10% per day, and the only is about 360%. But look at it this way, that you can be able to borrow that 1,000 shillings and be able to repay the same within 14 days where you are within that period. In the other incident, it would have meant that you would have been paying 10% on a daily basis. What today has happened is tremendous, and it's going to completely change the economics of this country. How
do you respond to your opponents across the floor who say the Hustler Fund is a pyramid scheme? It's an intention by government to run out other lenders in the country.
What I will tell them is let them watch this space. It's just a matter of time. What I can tell you is there's nothing the president does that he does not involve us, the leaders in Kenya Kwanza, for instance. He shares with us his vision very clearly. I can tell you this is going to be a sustainable fund. If the private sector, like the M-Shore and the rest, had been able to run this business for that long while, this is one that is guaranteed by government, and it has an interest in it, by the way, so that it has sustainability. A very tiny, small interest. Part of it is for management, and part of it is also to grow the fund. And you've read the mind of the president. He's been promoting the aspect of saving. Now, it has a saving component. These are the safeguards that this fund has. I can tell you. It's just a matter of time. Of course, at the moment you've started with individual borrowers, but as it goes forward, we'll be having now the cooperatives, and now those people who are saying the 900 shillings is less for them, their time will come that they will be able now to access more funds.
Let's talk about safeguards, because this being a government fund, there's obviously a notion out there, there's no hurry to return government money, and I think you saw the number of people who are waiting for the president to announce the code so that they can borrow, because there are those who think out there it's free money or we can just go without paying. What are these cautionary measures you put in the law for those who do not refund or who do not pay up once they have been given this money?
I think, as it were, there are these people called the hustlers. Any hustler wants to make, they want to make a profit. They want to earn. They want to trade. They may not be having that access to credit. Now, this fund that is why it's graduating from those who are on the at 500. When you are able to return, your credit score grows. If you are not able to return, say after 15 days, now there will be a slight penalty of 1.5% interest. That comes to 9.5%. But what happens is every Kenyan wants to grow, and this is one of the easiest funds. Of course, you will not be blacklisted, but your credit score will go down. So I can tell you, this fund is basically meant for those that wish to grow.
For those who wish to grow.
Yes.
But there are those who will be managing the funds. Of course, the president said that we have removed the committee. But those in charge of the fund, if they mismanage the Hustlers Fund, what happens? Because projects like this or initiatives like this have ended being, a big elephant sometimes and ending up in corruption.
I can tell you this without mincing words. This is something that is at the heart of the president. And he has ring-fenced it so well that anybody who is going to mismanage that fund will be liable to being penalized up to 10 million shillings. And I can tell you, don't joke with this fund. Yeah.
Don't joke with the fund.
Yes.
Talk about maize importation, because members of parliament, particularly from the Rift Valley, came out guns blazing the other day. Their guns trained on Moses Kuria, the cabinet secretary for trade, because of importation of maize. The cabinet yesterday said, first of all, we're going to buy 30 million bags from farmers before we can think of importation. Are your guns down now?
Yes. Obviously, at the very beginning, there were mixed statements that were being issued a little bit, but I think that has been clarified. We all knew anyway that the president was well seized, being the leader of, and he comes from particularly those regions. So the issue of maize is because our concern at the time was we are at the season that we are now harvesting maize, and we have enough in our stores, and the government had not been able to buy this maize. And going back a bit, the production inputs that the farmers had used to be, all these farmers are trying all that they can to provide food for our nation. At that time, the fertilizer was at all-time 6,500, and the cost of fuel, of course, was very high for those who are, tilling the land. So it would have been very unfair to have been able to open for millers to be able, or private investors to be able to import maize that are cheap and they are duty-free into the country. That would have disenfranchised so many of the farmers. And so the concerns then were legitimate, but I want to thank the cabinet that they made the statement yesterday, their commitment that they will give room up to February for farmers now to be able to probably sell the maize that they have, and then from there they can be able to open. Of course, we expect that we will be able to harvest about 30 million bags, and there will be a shortage of about 10 million. So I'm sure around that time, of course there are regions in this country as well that they will also be harvesting around that time, but I'm sure they will be, the government is insisting to it, and I'm sure around that time they will make the proper decisions.
The small matter of price, because you mentioned it, and the circumstances under which the maize that is going to be harvested this time, the circumstances under which it is being harvested, obviously because of the high cost of fertilizer or even mechanization. Have you agreed with government in a way, as members of parliament from that region, on the cost of a bag of maize, so that you don't end up with government buying it cheaper than the cost of production?
I think at the moment, the market mechanisms dictate that the prices is upward where we are all comfortable at the point at which millers are now buying. But I suppose now going forward, since we'll be having fertilizer that has been pegged at the price of about 3,500, and I'm sure all the other farm inputs will be lowered down, so that then going forward, the food production is going to go down. Then we would expect that the price may go down way ahead. But for the moment, we are comfortable with the price. And in fact, my encouragement to all farmers is that let us sell the maize that we have.
There's this issue of members of parliament from Kenya Kwanza, because I think the heat that emanated from the maize importation story is likely to either have caused a friction within the coalition, or it was assumed by the media that there was friction out of it. Is there friction?
No. I can tell you Kenya Kwanza is united as ever. This emanates from, I repeat again, the captain that we have. He has always been holding briefs with us every now and then. He's been consulting with the leaders, so we are united. Sometimes there's that small difference in terms of the opinion, but that is normal. But as it stands right now, we are on the course. So, and that is water under the bridge.
You guys are okay. As we wind up, the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee is going to write a report on the 4 commissioners. But as they write this report, their peers from Azimio are not in this committee. They did not participate in the hearings. And were it not for KCP and KCSE, we probably would have had demonstrations today.
I want to make it clear that the issue of the 4 commissioners, Juliana Cherera, Irene Masit, I think Francis Wanderi, and Justice Nyang'aya, there were 4 parties that came forth and they presented a petition to Parliament over their conduct of the election during the election announcement times. Now, if I take you back a bit, John, to around 2012, there was a time we had a deputy chief justice of this country who was found in a small altercation with a security guard, and because of that, it was found it was lack of integrity. What happened to the chief justice? There was a petition. It was hard, and the chief justice lost the seat on the basis of a very, it would have been, said a small altercation. Now, how much more on a massive matter that would have caused this country into, it would have plunged this, we know where we've come from as a country, and so this matter is weighty. And the fact that some of these commissioners did not appear in JLAC to be heard, I'm sure the report will be made, will be tabled, and it will be brought to Parliament. Now, let me tell you, it's an excuse for the opposition to say that the reason they are giving for them not going to the streets is because of children or our pupils who are doing the KCP and the like. No, that is not it, because Kenyans are now concerned about, there's a hustler fund that has come. People want to do business. Nobody wants to still go on the streets and do those demonstrations. I can tell you, the opposition needs to maybe style up and get other ways of having to, check on government. But the issues of going to the streets, not anymore in this country.
Let's talk about the fairness of a process, and particularly what was conducted by JLAC. 5 members of Kenya Kwanza, obviously minus those ones from Azimio, because they walked out of the hearings of that committee. Of course, there's what has been said by Raila Odinga in terms of, mob lynching. But when you talk about the fairness of a process, the president tweeted the other day, the laws of impunity who destroyed oversight institutions using the handshake fraud should allow Parliament to hold rogue officials who put the nation in danger by subverting the democratic will of a people to be held to account. New order is rule of law, not wishes of big men. By the president referring to these officials as rogue, isn't it, number one, conviction? The president trying to convict them in the public podium. But secondly, also a signal to members of Parliament from Kenya Kwanza that you can go ahead and remove these commissioners.
I want you to understand very clearly that the president is in executive. We are in the legislature.
But you have said here, Mheshimiwa, that you hold very serious sittings with the president, obviously discussing about his agenda.
Yes, you see, that's a different thing. We are in the government. We were sponsored by the party that is in the ruling government, but the president is in the executive. We are in Parliament and we are very independent. Those are the opinions of the president. But JLAC will be able to table a report, and this report will be heard by those in opposition and those in government. All right? So the walkout by those already in opposition tells you probably because they had also an opportunity, they can be able to, they were in the committee, they will participate in making the report. The fact that they walked out knows you can always tell to yourself why.
What if they stage another walkout during debate of that report?
And then there are rules of the House that the vote will come and wherever it will go. Yes.
Have you taken a position, as we wind up, have you taken a position as Kenya Kwanza on the fate of these 4 commissioners?
No. We are waiting for the report from JLAC. So once the report comes, we will debate, and then I will make that decision.
All right. Fantastic. This is where we put a cap on the interview, of course, on Prime Edition, and wish you all the best. It's been quite a busy day. Tomorrow, again, you debate the report of the committees on the various PSs. You expect that we'll sail through all of them?
We hope so.
You hope so.
Each committee will definitely table their report, and then it will be discussed in Parliament, and then the decision will be made. So I'm hopeful that depending on the committee that the reports they will be able to table in Parliament, we hope that they will all sail, hopefully.
All right.
Yes.
And obviously, Parliament has finally wound up on the issue of vetting PSS. Tomorrow you debate the report, so probably again by Friday we are likely to see the swearing in of this PSS and the final formation of President Dr. William Ruto's government. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us tonight. Regina?
But before we let Mheshimiwa leave, we'd want to know which team he's supporting for the World Cup. World Cup iko KBC. We want to know which team you're supporting.
I am African, so I'm still looking forward that Morocco will do some miracle a bit.
Morocco?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Curious.
I wish he was supporting Senegal. Anyway.
Senegal is out.
Senegal is not out. Senegal
is not out
Senegal
yet.
is not out. They have qualified to round of 16.
Yes,
so we actually expect they will do better. Yeah. Of course, Morocco, being an African team. But I'm holding for Senegal. Are you?
Well, for tonight, let's talk about tonight's game. I think I'll stand with the underdogs. That is a game between Poland and Argentina. I have nothing against Messi, but I want to see the underdogs actually take it. I mean, that's my team for tonight.
All right. Thank you very much for your time. This is how we put a cap on Prime Edition. Our sign language interpreter has been Byron Abuli. My name is John Jacob Curia. Good night.
And I am Regina Manyara. Remember, World Cup, iko KBC.
Kabisa.